Mani Napudni. I welcome my brothers and sisters, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, and visitors from around Australia and the world. We meet today on the land of my ancestors, the First Nations people of this land, the Kaurna people. I pay my respect and gratitude to my elders, both past, present and emerging, for their devoted love and dedication to their land, their families and people who are now custodians of this land here in Adelaide. When we visit Colebrook with students, it's a place where we can explore some of the natural environment, and it allows children to look at the arts and the images that are portrayed at this site to ask themselves, what's happened here before? What is the history of our Australian Aboriginal people? And listening to the listening posts allows them to connect and have a sense of empathy for the people, First Nations people of this land.
I used to go to Blackwood a lot, and I used to associate with the lady that worked up there. She was a beautiful lady. I loved school. I've always loved school. I used to love history. I used to love my writing, just write. We are the stolen children who were taken away, torn from our mother's breast.
What can a child do? Where can a child turn? Where is the guiding hand a child is meant to have?
That's one of my poems.
My mother was born at Rauken and then taken to the Murraybridge Hospital. Unfortunately, her mother passed away. So Mum, as an infant, was kept at the hospital, and on the day of her mother's funeral, she was removed. So through the Removal Act, so Mum was taken from Murraybridge and brought here to Colebrook home. It's not until she got older that she realised the big disconnection from her biological family, and that development and those thoughts and processes that followed that, with her grieving and wanting to reconnect with her family.
Our mother was brought here, Pam Hunter, so she was brought here from Gerard with her sisters, from the Riverland, where my grandmother had been taken from Mount Barker region.
Late 67, so I've heard, that we were taken from a place called, on the Birdsall Track, a place called Itchadina. It was a property where my stepfather worked, and and Mum and the grandparents. I had three grandparents, three grannies, nanas, two. My nana Charlotte had two daughters, Dorothy and Sheila, and Dorothy was my grandmother, my mother's mother. So I would have been a child of probably 6 or 7.
They probably dragged us here, I don't know. I was a baby. Yes, I went to look for my mum on the Todd River there. I walked the Todd River, I don't know how many times to find her, but a lot of them didn't know where she might have been, so I found her in the end, though.
I didn't know where I was. I didn't know who I was. I felt that I needed to understand who I am and have I got a culture?
I was in Unadilla Children's Home. I had 3 sisters that were placed here from Undoubted Children's Home.
Both my grandmothers and all their siblings were children here at Colebrook.
My name's Major Sumner. Everyone knows me as Moogie. I'm a Ngarrindjeri Ghana person. My mum's people come from the Ghana, and my dad's people come from the Ngarrindjeri.
When children come to places such as this, we try and build an Aboriginal perspective so that they have an understanding of the true Aboriginal perspectives in our Australian history.
Who's on this listening post?
On this listening post is Avis Gale, and she was a few weeks old baby when she came to this home.
It's not always talked about openly for many years. However, now with Aboriginals developing the curriculum and having their words spoken and the truths revealed, it allows the children to see what connections they can build with our Aboriginal people and how they can explore further understanding and compassion for our history.
Well, in a way, my involvement started way back when I was a kid and played cricket against some of the Colebrook boys at Blackwood Primary School Oval. It wasn't until much later, in 1996, as part of Blackwood Reconciliation Group, we reached out to some of the Colebrook residents, former residents. There were none living here then. And we began to appreciate and understand their story, how painful it was, and things we had no idea of. Because a lot of people like me knew of these kids in the past. And yeah, we decided then that we needed a memorial which told the story of the 350 Aboriginal kids who grew up here in our community, and of their stories to be heard, their voice to be listened to, and their experience of separation from their families to be understood.
I went into Colebrook at 7 days old, and I left when I was 12, when they locked me up. I kept running away. Daily life, we had to do things, we had chores to do. It was hard.
Yeah, you wonder why civilised people do such a thing. You know, how they think it's right to make such a decision to take people's children away from them.
I was a child that was taken away. I used to cry all the time because I was a child and taken away. I had no one tell me why I got taken away.
The home. This is where the children grew, the ones their mothers barely knew, taken away and forced to stand in hand-me-downs on white man's land. The place you are standing is where they were brought, an assimilated white way taught, to bring about a better Australia. If we turn them white, they'll never fail you. Educated by written word, the dream-time tales now lost, obscured, a haze in their now whitewashed mind, along with family they'll never find. But the memories the children tried to recapture of people they were told had died, of running free on warm red sand and being held by gentle brown hands, of people with smiles and dark curly hair. Now these memories were as thin as the air, as instead their heads were crammed with other things to remember in place of mother. Crying babies in the night, wide-eyed children stiff with fright, growing up and day by day, watching their past fade away. Huddled together they grew up until they left this place from on the hill and created a family of their own, these children from the mission home. Fountain of Tears is a representation of family members who are wailing 24/7, so the water runs 24/7 with their tears. So they're the family members who had their children taken from them. That's what that represents.
What do these footprints on the rocks mean?
Well, if you have a look over here at all the footprints, they start off as little footprints that are barefooted, because a lot of the kids that came here were tiny little fellas and they had bare feet. And when they got here, the missionaries put shoes on them. So you can see the shoes coming on. And some of these people stayed here until they were adults. And then when they became adults, they were really confused. They felt tugged because they had one foot in one world and one foot in another.
I didn't know where I was. I was in a different world. I couldn't come back to this place. And even back on country, I couldn't sort of, I said, well, where am I? Who am I? Where am I?
What's that on top of the fountain?
A coulamon is a carrying vessel to either carry produce, like plant produce, or skins or other things, but also to carry babies in. So skins would have been laid there and the baby put in the coulamon. So the empty coulamon represents the child not being there.
So Mum wrote 3 books. Her very first book was called Kick the Tin, which is her autobiography. So Mum wrote about most of her story from being removed and growing up here at Colebrook home. It's called Kick the Tin because that's one of the games that they played here on the property as children, which brought a lot of entertainment.
We used to run around and play games and all sorts of things. We used to play that, bush games and knuckle bones. That was a good game.
The games that they played here were really important for her, so she wrote her next book, which is beautifully illustrated by Kudni, and so that captures all the experiences as children playing here, which, we all know the value of play.
I did a lot of artwork here. It all started when I was coming to a Blackwood Reconciliation group, and they wanted a mural down the front, and I let all the Colebrook kids get picked first, and that's what I did at the front. And that art is about kids who came from the Riverlands. By the sea is one side, the blues and the green colours, and then the other side is the kids that came from the desert areas. I helped design the Fountain of Tears. We had a meeting in the city at the library, city library, and there was the older ladies. A lot of them passed on now, but there was Loager and Auntie Amy, who's gone.
So my grandma Amy was the first South Australian school teacher. She got rejected to go and teachers college, I think 7 times, and ended up training interstate, but then she came back here. She actually taught at Eden Hills Kindy and Gunner Plains. She was a director there. And I think Nailsworth's was another school that she spent a lot of time at. This is my great aunt Loager. She grew up here as well, and she did many amazing things.
Well, the most well-known of them is Loager O'Donoghue, who became the first chair of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Commission, ATSIC, and was very much involved in the whole struggle for native title, set up child systems for hostels and so forth, so many things. And she was even nominated to be a Governor-General at one point. And she was a child here at 13, and she had to look after Doris, who was just an infant in arms. So the teenagers had to look after the younger babies. So yeah, they went through many hardships, but they achieved great things as well. And Loacha got involved as we started planning. So she became the public face. When the TV came, she would be interviewed. And she helped to raise the money to establish the Fountain of Tears. But the statue that meant most to her was the grieving mother. And sometimes she would come up on a Sunday and sit on a chair next to the grieving mother, because she said, we can forgive what they did to us, but we will never forget what they did to our mothers.
My baby, please give back my baby. A mother's words fall upon the deaf ears of authority. Hearts break, tears fall, fear cries out. From the wrenched hands and arms of a mother and child separated. Feel the pain, touch the ache, caress the tears. Through ignorance and indifference came the disruption and destruction of family life.
The land is connected to culture in all ways. Every way you want to look at it. You got the bush here. You got all the plants that you can eat. Some medicines.
We used to go to the supermarket, we call it, which is all around the grounds here, and to look for whatever we can find. Food-wise, you know, in the trees or on the ground.
Moogie, what's this plant for?
It's a medicine plant plus a food plant, but we call it kakala.
Kakala.
The leaf that you see there, if you get bitten by a mosquito or that, you get that and you rub that on it. And that'll take the sting away. But it's also got a flower on, that when the flower's got the leaves on, as soon as the flower loses the leaves, you can get that. And if you're thirsty, you eat that because there's a lot of moisture in it.
Plants needed to be looked after, so we can pick things up and make whatever, you know, that is what our traditional people used to do. You've got to protect the environment and let things grow again, so you can come back always and not be greedy and ruin the environment.
Some of the gum trees here, like them ones over there, they've been here for a long time. Here before Colebrook home was settled, and they've seen the children. They've been here. The children would have climbed up on them, but they stayed. They've been there for a long time, so they would have seen a lot.
Colebrook is a really unique experience for people to come to. It's a site that's enabled students and adults to learn about the importance of our Australian history. It's a unique experience. It's a very heartwarming experience and also a heart-enduring experience. The students often take these experiences away with them home to their families, and families often are unaware of the history that has now been opened up to everyone to learn from.
Of course, it's very important to teach culture, no matter who we are, and the diversity of our people, no matter where we come from in each state of Australia. The importance of teaching is very important to keep up what is not going to be, hopefully, never lost.
within itself, that there just tells a story. That we need to sit down there, we need to dance there, we need to be involved in each other's lives there. And that'll talk about reconciliation. That's it there. We share our cultures, we share our music, our dances.
Well, there's lots of children and adults out there that need to find out who we are as the Aboriginal people of the country, you know. And because they don't know until they talk to us, you know.
Anybody can come, I mean, always for the Chichichura to return and have that connection, but for other people to come and learn and feel a sense of the place that, you know, the sadness as well as, you know, the happiness that children experienced here. I remember that Auntie Doris used to talk about the happy times that she had here as well, you know, playing, and she's written that through her books. And so children played here as well, you know, but they were also, of course, horrifically traumatised by being removed.
They had each other. I mean, I think that's probably the advantage of, I think that's what saved them, was the fact that there were, you know, numerous children that were all together and growing up together, all different ages.
I wasn't the one that interested in any of the so-called missionaries and all that. I wasn't interested in them, you know. I used to tell them I wasn't here to become a Christian for you. You know, so, yeah. But other than that, I've survived and I'm still surviving for me, you know, doing well.
Because I'm knowing that 3 of my sisters were here as babies from Unadada, and it's just a peaceful kind of place, even though there was a lot of traumatised kids here, been brought here from communities and away from their families, away from their culture and things like that, and having to live in a strange place. I feel for all the kids that came here.
As humans, we gravitate towards history because we like to see where we've come from, and by doing that we can actually, you know, navigate the future. So this is what this land's for, and this place is for a big lesson about something that should never ever happen again in this country or any other country. This is what really reconciliation is. It's not just alignment or walking together, it is seeing the truth. And you know what, the truth is painful, and I think that's what most people fear. They fear pain, but from fear we gain strength.
I literally want to take my hat off to these people. Particularly this group here, Reconciliation Blackwood, because they have done a lot, you know, to make it what it is now. I mean, that old white building used to be a scary place, you know, for us as kids growing up. I'm glad it's not there no more. You know, it's gone back to its natural habitat, I suppose. I mean, the water there, the fountain, the grieving mother. So, yeah. And education, I think it comes back to that, is just educating the young people, because they've got to take this country forward now. And they have to accept us in the history.
This land belongs to the Ghana people, and now it's shared by all of us. We thank the Ghana people for sharing their land, and we'll help to take take care of this land together. Need a money, need a money, need a money, money, yeah. This land was home to Colebrook children, taken from places far away. They cried for lost families, seeking kinship ties.